Howdy! We're going to take a closer look at how job cost sheets can be used in a job order costing system. We'll use the following information to answer the next two questions. The bus company uses a job order costing system. The following information was recorded for September. So we have a table here showing that we have 4 jobs, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And on September 1st, each of them had cost already, meaning they were started last month and some materials, labor, and overhead were added. We're going to continue to work on them during September so you can see direct materials and direct labor costs are given. As you'll see, we're going to have to compute the overhead cost. The direct labor wage rate is $10 per hour. Overhead is applied at the rate of $5 per direct labor hour. Jobs 1, 2, and 3 have been completed and transferred to finished goods. Job 2 has been delivered to the customer. The ending work in process inventory for the month is, well, there's oftentimes a couple of ways you can calculate the ending work in process inventory. One way is to look at the job cost sheets and identify which of these 4 jobs remains in the work in process account. It's important to remember that they all start out in work in process, and then they go to finished goods if we're told that they're completed, and they go to cost of goods sold if we're told that they're sold. So for this company, job 1, we're told, was finished. So it ends up in the finished goods inventory account. Job 2 was also finished. But we're told in the last sentence of the paragraph that it was delivered to the customer, meaning it was sold. So that is the value of cost of goods sold. Job 3 was also finished, but there's no word that it was sold, so it remains in finished goods inventory. Now we're told nothing about finishing job 4, so we have to assume that it remains in work in process inventory. So based on this, we could calculate the cost of goods sold by finding the value of job 2. We could find the ending finished goods inventory if we found the total cost assigned to jobs 1 and 3. But we're asked to value the ending work in process inventory. And the only job that remains in work in process at the end of the period is job 4. So the easiest way to calculate the value of the ending work in process is to simply create the job cost sheet for job 4. To do so, the first thing we have to do is see that beginning costs were $750. So materials, labor, and overhead added last month totaled $750. We're also told that we added $4,000 of direct materials and $400 of direct labor. Now with overhead, we're told that it's applied at a rate of $5 per direct labor hour. But we're not given the direct labor hours directly for job 4. You can see here that I found the overhead applied by taking the overhead rate of $5 per hour and multiplying by the actual activity for job 4, 40 direct labor hours. Now we need to take a closer look at how I got that 40 direct labor hours. This requires just a little bit of problem solving. What we know is that the direct labor cost is $400, and we also know that the direct labor rate is $10 per hour. So the $400 of labor cost was computed by taking $10 per hour times the total number of direct labor hours. We can then solve for the number of direct labor hours, and we will get 40. So now we know that while $400 of labor cost was incurred, $200 of overhead is assigned based on our predetermined overhead rate. The total cost of job 4 is $5,350. So this is going to be the value of our ending work in process inventory. Next, we are asked to compute the total cost recorded as an increase to work in process inventory during September. What we have to remember is what causes us to increase the work in process inventory account. And remember, we debit work in process when direct materials are used, direct labor is recorded, and when overhead is applied. And now we're going to look at this for all of the jobs to find the total change or total debits to work in process. So for direct materials used, we will look at the direct materials for job 1, $300, job 2, $250, job 3, $1,500, and job 4, $4,000. So the direct materials assigned to inventory during the period is $6,050. We can do the same thing for direct labor. $200 for job 1, $300 for job 2, $150 for job 3, and $400 for job 4. That totals out to be $1,050. Once again, we need to apply overhead based on direct labor hours. And you'll see that I took the predetermined overhead rate of $5 per hour and I multiplied by the total of 105 hours. We will go to our problem solving to find that 105 hours. If the total labor cost added to work in process was $1,050 and the wage rate is $10 per hour, we know that that total direct labor cost was computed by taking $10 per hour times the number of hours. So we can solve by taking $1,050 of labor cost divided by $10 per hour, and we'll get 105 hours. So the total cost debited to work in process inventory is $7,625. That includes the direct materials used, the direct labor, and the overhead applied. Right, that's it for using job cost sheets. So notice that that is one way that you can analyze how the product cost will end up at the end of the period, is simply look at the job cost sheets in a job order costing system. Bring any questions to class and I'll see you then.